Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Today we got a lot to go over. First order of business is Khalil Jackson will be out for the season. We'll get into that. DJ Lagway and what he looks like for Saturday. Then in a very interesting interview with Neil Blackmon on Saturday Down South, talking about the powers that be meeting up about the future of Florida football, how that contains Billy Napier. We'll talk all about it. Happy to have you here. Good to see you. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe as always, as we are on the way to 22,000 subs. Unbelievable that 22,000 people tuned in. We're like, yeah, we enjoy this guy. Well, I do greatly appreciate your support. First order of business, Khalil Jackson was not on the depth chart this past week, but also did not come up in the injury report as well, as long as the other 15 players that are hurt from Florida this Saturday with Joey Slackman, Devin Moore, Hazen Turner, Andy G, and a few others. Khalil Jackson was not mentioned alongside those, given I think they're probably still wondering what was up with everything, but it looks like it was an ACL injury. I don't know if it was a tear. There wasn't really much details, but surgery had to be done, and now he will be out for the season. Redshirt junior, walk-on Khalil Jackson, phenomenal hands. Saw him a few times on Saturday. Had a big impact last year. Very unfortunate to see him go. I hate to see it for anybody to get injured. In a weird place, this is one of the places that we have tons of depth. So we saw Abrams and Hawkins on the depth chart heading into Saturday. Aiden Mizell, another one that we've been looking forward to seeing. And these guys, you got to keep in mind, because DJ Lagway, which you're going to get into in just a moment here, is getting the start. And these guys all have been getting much reps from him. So Sanford's going to be an interesting one to see. A lot of these secondary guys, these freshmen, true freshmen, LJ McCray, or secondary sophomore guys that didn't get a lot of playing time, see how they connect with DJ Lagway and could really elevate their stock from the Sanford game. Now, if I've learned anything from following Billy the last 3 years, these guys could go out there and kill it, and they probably still get benched the next day. I'm kidding. Enough negativity. I apologize. But let's talk about it. DJ Lagway. So, concussion protocol, Graham Mertz did not pass it. And so now it looks like he's going to be up in the box, is what's being rumored, what's been kind of spreading around up in the skybox. In the helmet, I don't think he's not even in the helmet. Let's not get crazy. But he's going to be up there watching, again, because he did not pass concussion protocol. The reason I tell you this is because when everything happened on Wednesday and that DJ Lagway was to start on the depth chart, there was still the belief from Billy's perspective that, look, we're going to still take it day by day and see if he passes the protocols. I don't think there was ever any intentions, but that was left out there for, to give us a cliffhanger, and that has been confirmed now that he didn't pass it, so he hasn't practiced all week. Could technically they still throw him in there? I guess, but it's a locked done deal that I think everybody is throwing everything out. DJ Lagway made a post about it as well. Again, Wednesday we had that confirmation, but it was almost like double confirmation because you never know if Billy's going to pull a side one on you, throw old Mertz in there. And we'll see how this plays out. But this is going to be huge to see what that DJ Lagway is going to be able to do and see how this offense flows. Obviously, another big question mark is who's going to be calling the plays. Hopefully it's Russ. These things I don't know. I just hope and pray like the rest of us fans do, that Russ Callaway will come out there and do what Stanford did to us 3 years ago when Russ Callaway was calling the plays and they put up 52 points. Okay, so we'll see how that all plays. Also, I want to give you a little fun fact from our guy, Brendan here. Okay, this is what he made this little, he sent this to me. He says, fun fact, in the second game of the year in 2003, I know, playing Miami in the Swamp, true freshman 5-star quarterback Chris Leak came in to start the third series of the game. He posted this on Allie's thing. So bonus fun fact, Eric Wilbur punt into that drive, which obviously is her husband. The next game was against Florida A&M. Leak split time with Ingle Martin and Gavin Dickey, went 6 for 8 for 79 yards and 1 touchdown. 2 games later, Leak started at Kentucky and remained the starter for the rest of his career, which ended in the national championship win against Ohio State in 2006. And we actually beat Kentucky in every game of Leak's career. Seriously, we used to do that. Look, this is one of those fun little tidbits. Anybody that's superstitious, obviously this doesn't mean that it's going to happen again, but it just crazy to think how history in a way repeats itself, and could we be on that path, right? I think when the DJ Lagway committed, that was always the idea. Now, he gets comparisons more to Tim Tebow, but still, Chris Lee came in, was a solidified quarterback. He just goes overlooked because of how great Tim Tebow was. But really cool to see how those things go. I brought up a fun fact too. I remember last time we played at Stanford was the end of our last coach's season too. Could this be another one for us as well? We'll see. Now let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Prize Pick. This is going to be the lineup that I rock with come tomorrow on Saturday. It's fantastic stuff. But let me tell you, you can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Pick with as little as 4 correct picks. So I have four. They will be correct come tomorrow. And also, too, I want you to know that you can play. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports on most states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. And of course, here, me being in Florida, so you can rock and roll with that. But there's so many options for tomorrow's slate, right? These are the ones that I felt most confident in, me personally, taking Travis Hunter to have more than 88.5, Malik Murphy to have more than 201 passing yards for Duke, Jadon Blue to have either a rushing or reception touchdown. One or the other, just one of them. They're going to put up a billion against Michigan. So you know how that's going to rock. And then Donovan Edwards to have more than half, to basically just needs to have one rushing or reception touchdown as well. Obviously, the heart of that Michigan offense. So this stuff excites me. I love this, being able to, be a part of your favorite teams and favorite players. And that's what Prize Picks allows for us to do, is get to look at a game from a different perspective and have some more fun with it and cheer for your individual guys as well, especially us here, for Florida, get to cheer on DJ Lagway. I don't think he was on this particular lineup. Maybe as things go on, we'll be able to see if he makes some rooms. And then we're cheering for DJ and Mizell in a different, different way. So Prize Picks allows you to do that. And again, download the Prize Pick app today and use the code Hightop and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code Hightop on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Now, let's get into the interview here with Neil Blackmon. Neil Blackmon is a sports writer. I believe he's associated with Saturday Down South, but he's got a phenomenal resume of writing and being associated with just sports writing in general. And he gave a very good, I think, perspective of the situation that's going on in Florida. It's about a 20-minute long interview. I took a 2-minute clip from this thing. It's incredible. Go check it out. It's on Saturday on South South. We reached out to Neil. Hopefully we can have him on as soon as possible to kind of talk a little bit more about some of the things that he was hearing. But in this interview, he elaborates on the powers that be meeting up to discuss the future of Florida football. Take a listen, and then we'll talk about it from there.
Decision makers to huddle up and say, guys, what do we got to do? Are those conversations, do you think, happening at this point?
They are happening. They've happened Sunday. They happened yesterday. And I know that because I've talked to the people, but at least 3 of the people in those conversations. So they are happening. I don't know, Matt. I like his work. I mean, I think Matt's great. I saw Dan's retweet, and I think the best thing for Florida to do is just to focus on, especially Florida fans, that they want to defend the Mullen decision, and I think it's easily defensible, the dismissal of Mullen. All you really have to do is look at the roster that Billy Napier inherited at Florida and begin to understand it. So my point is, the best thing for Florida to do is to focus on now, and not worry about, what Dan Mullen is retweeting. So I think that's what these people are doing in those conversations. And they are, I think that they're trying to figure out, hey, Billy Napier, and let's be clear about something that I think is important and not yet really perceived by the outside, though maybe it should be. Napier's gotten everything that he wanted from the administration at Florida. Everything. Florida has maybe the nicest new football facility in the SEC, if not the country. It is just as nice as Clemson's, Lazy River and all. It is astonishingly good. Florida has a new weight room. I mean, from everything, they have a new nutritional staff. I liked your joke about how I guess the new sports science of nutrition is not paying off. But all that stuff that they were way behind in, they went from 14th in recruiting budget to 2nd. Um, this is not an infrastructure issue in Florida any longer. And um, let's point out there's that NIL perception, and the Jaden Rashada stuff doesn't help, of course. But the reality is, Florida Victorious just signed the most NIL deals of any collective in the country last year for its athletes. So they have rebuilt their collective to where it is an asset, not a liability or a problem. And whether smart person that knows a little more might say, well, that's for other sports. And also it is, but the point is that collective is humming. And they're humming with corporate money behind them, which is really the future.
Look, this is a lot to break down here with what he said. And I think it's very interesting. Again, the first being the powers that be meeting Sunday and Monday about the future of Florida football. What that entails, we don't know, right? I've heard about certain people flying in, people being there that represent certain parties involved, right? Again, I don't know where these conversations are going. And here's the thing. We here at Hightop Sports, we're like the rest of y'all hearing about it. And I try to let things come out as much as I possibly can. We're not here to, smashing news, break you in the mouth, because you gotta be careful moving that quick sometimes. So we try to just let it kind of trickle out as much as we can. And then we give you our thoughts and perspectives on it. A point that he made that, and here's what I love too. This is his how he's viewing the situation, because I think some would argue that the obviously the new facility was during that Mullen era, right? That started with Mullen. Billy was able to come in. Now people may or may not know that Billy came in and adjusted things, right? Because Mullen had the way that he wanted it to be built. Billy came in and built it the way that he finished it the way that he wanted it to be finished. So I know how some people are going to be like, they had that before Bill was even there. That doesn't mean that they're giving Billy what they want. Well, no. Yes, they started it, but Billy came in and did what he wanted to do. So that was an interesting thought too, because there is that perception that, hey, it's not all just Billy, that he's not a lot of control. And some people are going to argue blue in the face that no, there's still the powers that be are pushing back on Billy. But as we've seen this go on about, how he kind of carries himself, in the sense that, hard-headed is what I would like to call, or like, hey, and I've said this before. People have always kind of said that Billy thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. And I said, hey, there's a level where you have to believe that. And so when you were hearing it and you hear those numbers, right? The number one collective of signed athletes. And again, yes, across the board, but still, the recruiting budget went from 15th to 2nd. That's interesting, because we've talked about before, like, hey, we've heard Billy says, I'm not going to go get into a bidding war. And I've been supportive of that. That's great. That's fantastic. You better back it up on the football field, though. So I don't need to spend all this money, and we're still going to win. You're giving your boy Rob Sell, he's the third highest paid offensive line. Okay, so he's getting the money, and we're not getting production. We don't want to give money to recruits. You can't have both. You can't have it both ways. Okay, if you're going to give this guy the third highest paid offensive lineman, you better best have the best production of offensive line, not a 0 at pass block. I'm fired up. All right, anyways. So that was an interesting, again, just hearing him say that, in the sense that, hey, the perception is that he's not getting what he wants, but in reality, they've given him everything, and it's just not getting done. And it's like, look, we've thrown the kitchen sink at you. And I even said at the beginning of the year, this is where, and some people are kind of tweeting at me, well, what if he comes back and they win 6 in a row? Fan-flippin-tastic, okay? There would be nothing more than I would love for that to happen, okay? If it needs to be, I'll hate him for the rest of the year, if that's the case, if that's what we need to get done. But I supported every decision that was made. The front office went out there and gave him Ron Roberts, gave him a new defensive line coach, a new secondary coach, a new nutrition, 2 new nutritionists, Craig Fitzgerald, who I don't know who left him. Obviously, we see it worked out at Boston College for him. You go and get that front office GM guy who just went to Georgia. They gave him every which way. And the one thing that he didn't go get was an offensive coordinator. Again, so many other issues wrong. I understand that. But it's like, that was the last thing that a lot of people had issues with. And we saw kind of just the lacklusterness on Saturday with the offensive play calling. So I do, in a sense, understand where, Neil's coming from, and believe that, look, we've given you everything you've asked. And this is what you've done with it. This is where we stand. So, look, it's Friday. Tomorrow is game day. We kind of brush this off and we see how things go. But I did want to talk about that interview, because I know there's probably a lot of people wondering. We're hearing a ton of things. They even talk about prospects of who the next coach can be. Obviously, the Lane train, Lane Kiffin, has been slung everywhere. That started a whole debate on Twitter. For those of you that aren't on Twitter, you've got Ole Miss people saying, like, why would he leave? It's created a little animosity. And as much as I want to get behind that and believe it, usually it's the first name. It is always the right name, but it will be interesting to see how it plays out. Other names are Lincoln Riley. There's so many names and so many possibilities where it could go. The one thing that I do know is this shit better hit. The next pick better make a splash. But it's going to be interesting. Uncle Lou was talking about it this morning too, because again, he brought up Lane Kiffin as well. Everybody's hearing the noise. And this is what I was quietly thinking about is anybody who's coming in, if you want to make a splash, more than likely you think they're going to have success at their current school, which means the playoffs, right? And where the playoffs, where the recruiting class closes, where the transfer portal opens, all the playoffs are going on. Playoffs are going on through all of that, right? They're going on through when signing day closes, because signing day was moved up now, I believe, to the early part of December. The transfer portal has been shifted around to go after. But all in all, while all this is opening and closing, the playoffs are still happening. And so if that is the case, Florida will find themselves in a very finicky situation with in regards to recruiting and being able to capitalize on the transfer portal as well. So it's going to be a hell of a next few months. It's going to be bumpy. I always use the analogy at my work when we're talking to clients where they're having to make a tough decision, right? It's like cleaning your room. It's going to get messy before it gets clean, right? You got to throw everything into the center of the floor, looks like shit, and slowly start piecing it back together. So it's at the point where it has to be, though, okay? Rip it all down, baby. We got to clean the room up. So just buckle up, Florida fans. It's going to be one hell of a ride. It's been a hell of a ride already, but by golly, I think it's only going to rowdy up from here. So I just want to give you those perspective again. DJ looks like it is double confirmation to Khalil Jackson on that. And it's, happy Friday to all of you. If things go right tonight, that's got a nice little ring to it. I may do a call-in show. Let me know in the comment sections if you're still here, if you still listen to me rant to the end of it. I've got to shoot a show at 9:30. Should be done around 10:15. Possible call-in show from 10:30 to 11:30. Horrible idea on my part, given the fact that I have to wake up early tomorrow morning, but I love the people. And I want to hear everyone's thoughts before we go into game 2. Let me know down in the comment section below. I love you. Good to see you. Check out PrizePick. Use the code Hightop. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace and love, baby.